All right, good morning. I hope everybody had a wonderful vacation week and Happy New Year. Um, Last session we were really looking at what our kavanot, our intentions are for the new year. And we did a meditation specifically on really honing in to a single word or a few words or some mantra that you would hold close as an intention throughout the year. And for those of us who were on that practice, we came up with some different things. But for me personally, what is really a guiding theme for me in this year is all about staying present in my heart in a way that opens and expands and grows my capacity for love. Love of myself, love of others, love of this world, love of whatever life is presenting me with in any moment. So it's really about this heart-centered, loving awareness and compassion. And in the Parsha this week, it is about the opposite of Pharaoh's heart being hardened and closed down, right? That this heaviness, kaved is the word that is used. God says, I wrote it down in Hebrew, ki hikbadati et libo. God says to Moses, he's not going to let you guys go, and all these terrible other things are going to happen because I am making his heart very heavy, very closed down. And we're not going to get into the discussion. We can save that for Torah study on Friday of like, is this Pharaoh's free will? Is it God hardening his heart? We'll save that for later. But what I'm bringing for us in the practice today is how do we, if we have an intention for ourselves and for our life, how do we practice that? That's really because it's one thing to have a vision, an intention, a goal. We need to start there, right? Something really, really meaningful. But if it ends there, we haven't actually accomplished anything, right? So it's like I have an intention to keep opening my heart, coming from love. How do I practice that in reality? How do I practice that? So this is yoga is a practice. We talk about it as practice. And in the yogic tradition, we talk about sadhana. Sadhana literally means having the discipline to practice. In Judaism, that's akin to musar. Musar is the disciplined practice of cultivating certain qualities and character traits and behaviors, right? So we're going to do a heart opening practice today, but I'm just going to introduce some other just options to you to, like what would help you in a daily practice as you move forward into this new year, right? So for me personally, when I wake up in the morning, I start with prayer. That's the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning. That's part of my spiritual practice. Before I even get out of bed, for me, a lot of that prayer looks very Jewish. It's, the Birkot HaShachar, I say the Moda Ani, I'm grateful for God restoring my soul and my life to me this day. I recognize that my soul is pure. This soul that God put in me is pure. What do I do with that today? How do I honor that and be an expression of that? I go to the bathroom and I pray and with gratitude that my body is functioning and working. These are all Jewish morning prayers. But prayer can take any form, as gratitude, as prayer for yourself, prayer for others. So I thought we would just start this morning with a little bit of prayer. I'll get quiet and let's just take 2-3 minutes to be in our own silent space of prayer as a practice, recognizing that there's intention. Every time I sit and close my eyes and let myself be present and settled in my body and my breath and allow the prayers of my heart and mind, my life to come forth, that's a spiritual practice. So let's take a few moments to do that now. What is your intention for this year? What is it that you want to practice? And maybe just sitting in the inquiry, how in reality might I practice this? And bring your hands together at the heart center. Maybe just bow your chin, your head slightly to honor your heart. Actually, direct your breath there for a moment too. So I want you to breathe at the heart center. So every inhale, you feel like your heart is expanding. Every exhale, you're more centered in your heart space. If you like to work with visualization, you can imagine that there's light, whatever color you choose, but this glowing orb of light energy at your heart center. Every time you inhale, that light is expanding and becoming more radiant, shining outward from the heart. And every time you exhale, it's like you're concentrating and integrating it even more powerfully. And as you're ready, you can allow your hands to drop, allow yourself to open your eyes. I see more people joined our class this morning. I'm so happy to see all of you. Good morning, good morning. All right, let's start in a child's pose. Okay, so in a child's pose, you actually have a few options. Usually we take child's pose, maybe our knees are, touching or our thighs are close together. That's a really nice stretch for the low back and widening the back body. If you take your knees a little wider, changes the pose. If you take your knees very wide, that's much more of a heart opening pose. It actually gives you this space where you're integrating the shoulder blades together and dropping the heart more towards the floor. That may or may not feel comfortable first thing in the morning. Just see where you need to go. But just play with trying something new. It's a new year. And we're really, when we talk about having discipline and practicing, it's really about creating new habits. So in the world of psychology and neuroscience, there's a lot of research about how do you effectively create a new habit, right? We can have the loftiest intention, but actually making something a habitual way of being, like living in a spiritual way, living from your heart, whatever it is you want to practice, it takes practice. And there's different ideas that you have to practice something 27 days in a row for it to stick, 40 days in a row for it to stick. So we come back to the yoga practice again and again. We come back to the same poses again and again. Maybe we want to create a new habit in that pose. Good. All right, you're going to come up onto your hands and knees. And we're just going to take some cat and cow poses just to stretch through all those paraspinal muscles. So curving the belly down as the tailbone and the chin lift. Shoulder blades draw together on the back body, opening the front of the chest. And then go in the opposite direction, really puffing up the back, pushing down into the pinky side of the hands, belly in. Do a few of these. And there are a lot of places where you can bring your drishti, your gaze, in this pose, right? Where are you paying attention? It could be your breath, it could be your tailbone, but I'm going to ask you to just bring the attention to your heart space instead, just for today's practice. It's like this feeling of flossing a needle between those shoulder blades and really just kind of creating some movement and awareness at the heart. And now, if you'd like, you can circle through the hips. Eyes could be open or closed. It's your choice, right? When we close our eyes, it brings our gaze more internally. Good. And from here, one more time, just sit back on your heels. But from your child's pose here, you're going to walk both hands over to the left side, and you'll sit back more deeply into that right hip. So the right sit bone is still grounded on your heel. You're going to feel a really big stretch and side opening in the right waist and ribs. See if you can drop that right shoulder down towards the mat a little bit more. And just breathe here, especially into the back of that right lung. Good. You can walk your hands all the way over to the right now. Yep. But make sure you're still sitting on your left tush onto that left heel. And just bring your awareness into the left side waist. Good. Walking it back through the center. Come sit up on your heels for a moment. Now you have a choice. If it's uncomfortable for you to sit on your heels, this is Vajrasana, sometimes called thunderbolt pose, right? Where it's not quite the same as, hero pose, you take your feet a little wider and sit between them. That, I don't know that we're quite open for that yet. Your choice, I'm giving you options. You can sit in between your heels. You can sit on your legs. You can also take a block or a stack of blocks. Okay, so it really depends on how open your quads and hip flexors are this morning. So you can take blocks or a stack of blocks and sit up on that. Right, so we're just starting to open the front of the thighs. Good. And we're going to take opposite elbows behind the back here. Simple. Okay, so you're just reaching behind you and holding opposite elbows right there. Good. And what I want you to do is think about drawing the collarbones up and back, shoulders down from the ears. Yeah. So it's like you're lengthening and getting more expansive in the top part of your lungs. Now, the tendency here is to also then jut your rib cage forward and overarch in the low back. I don't want that. So think about your belly drawing back into the back of the spine. Yeah, so there's still a little pelvic floor control. The lower belly is drawing in. There's some containment there. You're not spreading everything forward. But from that place, see if you can Feel this lift in the lungs, opening up the front of the chest. So physiologically, we were designed to protect our heart and everything in the front center of our body. That's where all the smushy organs are, right? We need that for life, right? So the tendency is to close down when we're afraid, to protect. We self-protect by closing the front space, right? To open up the whole front chest is quite vulnerable. To open your heart, to really let love in, to give love out fully, right? It goes almost against this natural instinct for self-preservation, which is why we need to practice it, right? The things that come really naturally to us, we don't need to practice necessarily. They're already habit, but to make a new habit, Okay, good. Shake that out. We're going to go a little deeper with that as we go on the practice. Here we go. Come stand in a forward fold for a moment, ragdoll. Take your first standing pose very, very gentle. So keep a bend in the knees, right? We don't have to straighten the legs yet. Let the arms be soft. Actually, you might want to do a little bounce up and down, very gentle, just to lengthen through the vertebra. You can let the arms dangle, get a sense of looseness, right? Which is the opposite of that rigidity, which is in the story of the Pharaoh. He's just rigid in his heart, in his mind, in what he wants and how it has to go, right? When we're rigid about how life needs to present itself to us, we're often disappointed, right? How do we stay loose so we can just meet life where it actually is? All right, you're going to bend the knees deeper. Slow, slow, slow. Roll yourself all the way up. Take your shoulders up and back and down a few times. All right, let's play. Make sure you have blocks nearby. Obviously, take any modifications to what I'm offering so that it serves you in your practice today. Okay. All right, start with your hands at your heart. We're going to take a big inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. Good. You're going to press down firmly through both feet. Feel the pelvic floor engaged, lifting up, lower belly is engaged. You're just going to reach over to one side, just stretch the side waist here. Good. Come on up through the center, switch the clasp of the wrist, and reach over to the other side. Inhale all the way up, and you're going to fold forward over the legs. Good. Inhale all the way back to stand. Good. Inhale, arms sweep up to the sky. Exhale, diving out over the legs. Good. Inhale halfway, so you're coming towards that flat back. Your shoulder blades, your shoulders are lifting up and back like what we were doing before with that arms behind, right? The shoulder blades, the collarbones lift up and back here. Good. And then fold back down. One more time, flat back. This time in your flat back, just take your arms behind you, palms face up to the sky. Good. And give me a couple of pulses, just like pressing those palms up like you're making fingerprints on the ceiling. Yeah, just notice, again, bring your awareness to that heart space, the back of the heart. Notice like between the shoulder blades that those muscles in the upper mid back are just working here to create some strength so that the front of the chest is actually expanding as you do this. Good. You're going to clasp the hands behind your back now. Knees can still be bent, and you're just going to fold yourself over, taking a shoulder stretch here. Try to balance the weight evenly over your feet. So notice if the weight is more in your heels or more in the toes. See if you can find an evenness so you're solidly rooted. The palms of the hands try to reach towards each other. That's going to protect the wrists from being like overly flexed. Yeah. Good. You can release those arms. fingertips to the floor. You're gonna step your right leg all the way back behind you. Good. And you're gonna come up for a high lunge. So in your high lunge, your front knee is bent. Maybe it's as deep as going directly over that front ankle. If you want, you can come out of that slightly, but don't go past the ankle. Arms can come up to the sides here. Good. Feel this as, again, a heart-opening pose. Pitach libi b'toratecha u'b'mitzvotecha tirdof nafshi. Right? Open my heart with the teachings of Torah, with the teachings of how I live my best life, how I be a good, kind human being in the world. And through action, mitzvot are literally, it's the chance to practice Torah in action. With the mitzvot, right? Elevate my soul, bind my soul to doing the actual work. Good. Anybody tired here yet? Yeah. One more breath, just deepen through that back heel. Press that back heel behind you. Really feel the stretch in that hip flexor. All right, you're gonna take the right hand down to the floor, maybe wider than your shoulder. Open your left arm out to the sky. We're in a twist. So keep pressing through the back heel, keep dropping through. You could bend that front knee more. You're gonna feel more of a stretch in the right hip flexor. Good. All right, bring that left hand down to the floor. Step back to a plank pose. Hold your plank for a moment. So strong hands, look down at your fingers. Fingers should be spread. Fingertips are pressing into the ground. The base of the fingers, the knuckles, everything's strong here. Don't lock out the elbows. Belly hugs into the back of the spine. And now just see if you could soften the shoulder blades towards each other. Like again, threading that needle. So you're just strengthening the back body to soften the front of the heart. Yeah. All right, lift your hips up nice and high, step the feet in a little bit. You're in downward facing dog. And just take time to enjoy your down dog. So breathe here, pedal through one heel and then the other. Yeah. Nice. Keep pushing the floor forward away from you, Dina, to soften that upper back. Imagine me standing in front of you and taking my thumbs and just gently pushing my thumbs into that area of the upper back, like right at the bra strap line, and just gently softening those muscles towards each other. So the more those muscles draw towards each other, the more the front of the chest can open. All right, from here, you're going to walk your feet to the front of the mat. Good. Inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, hands at your heart. Take a moment. You can even bring the hands over the heart. Just feel your heart beating for a moment. Take a moment to call into your heart and mind the people you love. How can my own practice help me to expand the love I have for these people? Slowly let your arms drop by your sides. We'll do the second round. Inhale your arms up to the sky. Exhale, diving out, 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 over and down. Inhale to that flat back again. In your flat back, bring your hands behind you. Good. This time, interlace the hands and just reach your hands behind you. Reach those shoulders up and back. Squeeze the mid and upper back muscles together, belly in. You should feel a little pelvic floor engagement here also. Good. And then bend the knees, release the hands to the mat. You're gonna step your left foot all the way back. Make sure it's far enough back that you have a good deep stance for your lunge and you're coming up to your lunge on the second side. Front knee is bent over the ankle. Opening up, proud, loving, heart-centered warrior. Good. Yeah, and if your balance is a little off, that's okay too, right? So can you love yourself in this pose? Can you love your own effort? Can you love your own showing up? We don't have to be perfect. It's not about that. But if we practice being loving and continuing to bring our awareness, our loving awareness, heart-centered awareness to everything, including ourselves, right? We might actually, yay. All right. You're going to take your left hand down to the floor, right arm up to the sky, deepen the twist. You may need to separate your legs wider if you want here, right? Farther apart so you can deepen into that back hip flexor. In the twist, you're leaning back away from that front inner thigh. So you feel the oblique muscles are wrapping around. Yeah. And even here, think about drawing the shoulder blades closer together on the back body. Notice how that creates a shelf to let the heart space open, the chest open. Breathe. All right, from here, you're gonna bring the hand down to the floor. You're gonna step back to your plank pose. This time in our plank pose, you're gonna roll to one side. We're gonna do both sides, doesn't matter which one you do first. Roll to one side. You can stack one foot in front of the other like a kickstand. The arm is strong. Don't lock out the elbow. Keep a bend. And you can take the upper arm up to the sky. There you go. Good. And then if it feels good in your shoulder, maybe extend those fingertips long over the ear. And as you do that, don't let the hip drop. Lift the hip up a little higher. So you're working your oblique abs here. Belly draws in. Good. You're gonna come to the other side. That hand that's on the ground is strong. Fingertips press in, knuckles press in. So you're not putting all the weight into the shoulder. Good, and that arm can come forward, and you're really squeezing the underside obliques. Good, come on back through your plank. You're gonna lower the knees down to the ground. Lower slowly, bending the elbows, chest all the way down to the ground. You can make a pillow for your head. Just shift the legs side to side. We're gonna do a little bit of chest opening practice here. Okay, so first one, easy cobra pose. First of all, the feet are pressing down, toenails down to the ground, and you don't want the pinky toes to roll up. So it's not like the heels are touching and the pinky toes are off. If you do, actually just do that for a second, see how that feels. If you roll everything kind of inward, where the outer thighs, outer pinkies lift and you're squeezing to the center, notice how that, you might feel a little squeeze in your tush, but it's also contracting the low back, which is where we end up with like our back hurts from back bend. So you want to do the opposite, kind of ground the big toes, but also spread across to the pinky toe. So you feel like you're lengthening from your outer hips all the way out through your pinkies. Okay, that's going to widen and protect the sacrum and the low back. All right, hands under the shoulders, spread those fingers. Feel your belly pull in. So this is a little bit of abdominals here. Squeeze the belly in and up away from the floor. And then you're just going to gently, 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 you're not going very far. You're just lifting the lowest ribs up off the mat. The pelvic bone is still on the mat. The toes are still down on the ground. Good. Good. And then if you can, pull your elbows in and squeeze your elbows as close to your side waist as you can. So you'll really feel this in the mid-back, and you'll really feel this as the chest expanding, heart space expansion. You might start shaking. This might feel really hard. That's good. You're working your chest and your biceps and your belly. Good. Lower all the way down. Again, just make a pillow for your head and rest for a moment. Take some breaths here. With your eyes closed, just see what colors are kind of pulsing at your heart center right now. Right? It's like our energy center. And it's alive and vital and vibrant. All right, let's do a slightly deeper back bend here. When I say back bend, it's really a chest expansion. Same thing. We're going to go into a Sphinx pose. So in honor of the Exodus from Egypt, bring your elbows down under your shoulders. Your forearms are down on the ground and the hands as well, nice and spread. Yeah, I'll show it to you this way as well. So elbows, forearms, hands, really nice and strong. Again, your legs are really reaching back away from you, and the pinky toe edges of those feet are pressing down. The pelvic floor is pressing down, but the belly is lifting in and up. Now, right here, just gaze down as if you can look down at your belly. You're not going to see your belly, but as you gaze down at your belly, you might notice that that belly lifts up farther away from the ground and integrates into the low back. Keep the strength in the belly there. Keep the strength in the belly, and then just draw your head forward into a position that feels neutral for your neck. Good. If you want to add a little bit more intensity here now, you're just going to isometrically imagine that you're dragging your elbow and your forearm back down towards your heels. They're not actually moving, but the energy of just drawing the hands backward to pull the chest up and through. And you're really going to feel this in the mid-back. You're going to feel like you're creating so much strength in your back body so that it gives you a sense of courage and bravery to open the heart. Yeah. How are you guys doing with this? You still breathing? It's strong, right? Do you feel strong? Yeah. Awesome. All right. Lower down. Flip-flop your legs side to side. Okay, when you're ready, you're gonna come onto your hands and knees and come into a downward facing dog. We're gonna go into down dog split. So when you get to your down dog, you're gonna lift your right leg up to the sky. Down dog, yeah, right leg lifts up to the sky. And just first, you can keep those toes pointed straight up towards the ceiling. Drop your left heel back down as much as you can. Yeah, and think about lifting the left hip crease up and back. So you're not just pitching into that left outer hip. That left hip is still reaching up and back. Good. Then you could bend the knee that's in the sky and maybe then just drop it over behind you. Good. If you want to take some circles through the ankle here, one direction and the other, that feels good. Feel into your hands for a moment. Make sure both hands are still pressing down strongly. The webbing between the thumb and first finger is connecting with the earth. All right, here's where we're going to play. If you want, let's just switch and do the other side first, though, and then we'll play. We'll add on after. Okay, so bring that leg down. Good. Let's take the other leg up. Down dog split. Same thing. Just first work that right heel back, right outer hip crease up and back. Drop your head. Soften the throat. Good. And then you can bend the knee, drop it behind you. Drop the foot behind you. Yep, circle. All right, bring that foot back. We need to get off our hands for a little bit. So you're gonna jump your feet to the front of the mat. Inhale all the way up to stand. Exhale your hands to your heart. Let's just do one standing balance pose here. So you're gonna bend your right leg, bend the right knee, and you're just gonna try to take a reach for the right ankle. And you can just stay here in the balance. That's it. You could just stay here in the balance. That's fine. We're gonna take the extended, the left hand is gonna be palm face up. Kind of like an offering, right? This offering, I offer this practice. Who are you offering this practice to? What are you offering this practice for? If you'd like, you can then hinge a little bit from the hips. So now you're balancing over that standing leg. Torso reaches forward, heart lifts and reaches forward, shoulders up and back as that foot reaches behind you. Wah! And just, again, loving awareness in the moment, whatever it brings. If it brings wiggle wobbles, that's all right. Right? Can I just love this moment? Can I love this pose? Can I love myself? Can I love all beings? You know, we're looking at this screen and seeing each other. Can I love everybody's effort and their beauty and their, you know, vulnerability? It's a beautiful thing. All right, shake it out. Let's do the other side. So same thing on the left side. You'll just bend, take a hold of the ankle. Same feeling as when we were on the floor when I asked you to keep lengthening through the leg and pressing the pinky toe down. You're now pushing down through the whole standing foot. But really that feeling of lengthening from there, belly in and up. Thanks for joining. Good. All right, and here the palm opens forward, palm face up. Yes. See how that's like the chest is so lifted. We're just undoing hours and hours of sitting on our phones and on our computers and sitting in the car and right? We just collapse. So we want to expand, right? It's a practice of creating a new habit. Good, here we go. And it takes courage, it takes core. So what's your belly doing in this pose? Are you lifting in and up? Are you giving yourself strength from the foundation? Your foot that's touching the ground? Your inner kneecap lifts, inner thigh is strong, belly is engaged, pelvic floor, right? What are the foundations that help us to practice? How do we feel safe and secure? Good. All right. And release that out. Shake it out. Okay. So I told you we were going to try to do something fun. I thought we would go to what's called a rock star pose. It's also called flipping the dog. Here's what it looks like. I'll show you, and then you can decide what stage you want to bring this to, okay? So we already have done down dog. We've already done down dog split. We've already done a twister, okay? And we've also already done a side plank, which is basically where you're going into a side plank. You roll to the outer edge of your foot, and now instead of having both feet down, this leg behind you just drops to the floor behind you. There you go. You flipped your dog. All right, so I'll walk you through that again. So you're gonna take your leg up, find your down dog split, bend the knee, come into the twister stretch. Good. And then you're slowly rolling to the pinky edge and heel of that foot on the ground, and the other foot just drops behind you. Yeah. And there you go. That lower hip is engaged and lifting up, so you're working the core here. You're definitely working the opening of the hips, which we have prepared for. You can smile. Your heart is open. If you want, you could take the arms slightly behind you even. And that really has this feeling of, I am just expanding my heart up to the sun, even though there's no sun this morning. It's okay. We're going to make the sun shine from within ourselves. Good. Bring it back down to the ground. Come to your knees for a moment. Sit back on your heels. Either a narrow child's pose, or if you take those wide knees, you can take a deeper child's pose where you'll really feel the integration of the upper back and the softening of the heart. If your wrists are feeling it from the down dog and from that rock star, you can just circle out your wrists here. All right, are you ready for the second side, you guys? You got this. You know what's coming. Let's give it our best effort because that's all we've got, right? It doesn't have to be perfect or beautiful. It's just got to be loving. So take that opposite leg up to the sky. I'm on my left leg. Good. You're going to bend the knee, reach it behind you, look down at that back foot and find that foot to the ground, and slowly, 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 you drop the other leg over. And then once that leg is there, you're pushing down through that foot to lift both hips up. Good. And again, you can take the arm out to the side if you want. Whatever feels good for you here, just play. It's your pose, it's your expression. I'm looking at trees through my window right now. Bring yourself back over. Good. Lower the knees. Sit back on the heels, and you're going to come to sit on your bottom. All right. Let's see what else we want to do here. Let's do a little bit of twisting, and then we'll do a nice like a supported fish kind of thing to end. Okay, so let's start like this. Just take your left leg out in front of you, bend your right knee in. And you can just kind of clasp that knee with the arms and then try to sit yourself up. So what happens is because our hamstrings aren't so flexible, or because our core isn't so strong, or because we're just in the habit of always closing down our upper back, it's easier to be like this. But what we're trying to do is sit the sit bones down, pull the belly in, lift up in the chest. And to do that, strong core, strong back muscles. So see if you can do that. Sit yourself up nice and tall. And it doesn't have to come from the throat. Sometimes we think, oh, if I lift my chin up to the sky, I'm, But think about the head being neutral, the neck is neutral. It's really coming from that pelvic floor, core, and heart space. Good. From here, we're going to twist. So you're going to take left elbow hugs the right knee. Right arm comes up overhead. And then those fingertips come behind you. I'll show you from this side. Fingertips come behind you. And again, the tendency is to collapse and to be kind of collapsed in the twist. We're trying to sit ourselves up as tall as we can here. So you may not twist quite as far, but I'd rather you be upright than collapsed. So sit up really tall on the inhale. On the exhale, we think about the left rib cage wrapping around towards the right hip, the right ribs wrapping back behind you, so that you're trying to get like 180 degrees, like a straight line across the front of the chest and shoulders. Yeah. Keep that extended leg strong, flex the foot. Good. Every inhale, think about sitting up tall. Every exhale, twisting, and then close your eyes. And again, bring light at the heart space, but not just from the front of the heart, also from the back of the heart. So I want you to feel like there's this vortex of just light, love, energy at the center of yourself. In Judaism and Kabbalah, the heart space is associated with Tiferet. Tiferet means beauty, harmony, balance. It's the balance point between heaven and earth, between ourselves and God. It's where we meet. It's where the two lovers meet in divine union, right? The mundane and the transcendent. We meet at the heart space, right? Everything in the world comes about through the ability to love and to connect. So that's what we're bringing light and awareness to in this practice. Good. All right. From here, unwind the twist. Take a little counter twist to the other side. So really gentle, easy twist. Both fingertips come to the left side. And again, just strong uplift, lean back, look back. Good. Bring yourself forward. And let's just take a forward fold here. So drop this thigh open. Just kind of shake it out for a moment. Yep. Sit up really tall. And let's just walk our fingertips forward, forward, forward. That extended leg is really strong. The foot is flexed. So the toes are pulling back towards your face. And don't overreach with your shoulders. If you overreach with your fingers and shoulders up to the ears, then all you're going to do is round out that upper back again. So we want to keep the elbows, shoulders down out of the ears, elbows soft. Right? This feeling of I can still lift and lengthen. I can still keep some strength in the back. So even in this forward fold, I still have awareness of my heart center. And I love my body in this pose. And I love my hamstring. Sometimes loving others is easier than loving ourselves, right? So we have to practice that too. Really practice self-love, self-compassion. How can I be gentle with myself? How can I be aware of what's good about me and what's really shitty about me, right? We're all flawed human beings. We're all working on this path to become more self-aware, to become healthier, to become wiser, kinder. It takes a lot of love and compassion to do that work. All right, come on back up. Oh, let's just take a little butterfly pose in between. Good. And then we'll switch sides. So right leg will extend, foot is flexed, left foot crosses over. You want to make sure you're sitting on both hips. I should have said this on the first round. If this is really hard for you and you feel like you can't get both, sit bones down, you can come up on a blanket just to elevate just enough so that you can do that. But here, we're going to start here. You're just going to, again, sit up as tall as you can. Shoulders down away from the ears, but not like a struggle, not like gripping. Shoulders down, but like in this way of like, yes, here I am in this moment. I've arrived. Inani, inani. Good, and we begin the twist by hugging that knee in. The left arm can reach up behind you and then back, fingertips to the floor. Again, inhale gets you taller. Feel that pelvic floor really engage, that Kegel, right? And twisting around with the rib cage. Every inhale you lengthen. The throat is relaxed, the third eye is relaxed, the crown of the head is relaxed. The effort here is in the base of the spine and in the belly. And then again, bringing your awareness to that light energy that's swirling around, glowing, radiating, pulsating from the heart space. Release the twist. Take a little counter twist to the other direction. And then you'll bring the foot to the inside of the thigh. And we'll take that forward fold, Janu Shirshasana, head of knee pose. It's not that you're putting your head down to the knee and rounding the back. It's more like you're reaching your head towards and past the knee. So this feeling of lengthening, 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 like that flat back. And then find a place where you can settle and relax. Relax the chin, relax the head. So I talked earlier about morning prayer practice and beginning my day with prayer, which is really just about being mindful, being grateful. And then I do a yoga practice. I do a breathing practice. I do a meditation practice. Not all of them and not every day, but most days and some combination. So what are your daily practices? How do you begin your day? How do you take breaks during your day to come back to your whatever your heart's intention is? And how do you end your day mindfully? Right, at night, I have a journaling practice, and I'm journaling about what I'm grateful for and what goodness and blessings showed up in my life for the day. So I definitely invite you in the new year. Come on up, shake it out one more time. You can take circles here if that feels good for you. I invite you to create a new habit. Or maybe it's something that you already have in your wheelhouse that you're already doing, and recommit to that. But really coming to it mindfully with the intention of this practice brings me closer, moves me closer to whatever that kavanah, that intention is that I have for myself and my life in this year. All right, from here we're going into Shavasana. Here's the offering in Shavasana. You can just do regular Shavasana on your mat, or you can take some very gentle supported fish pose. Fish is a heart opening pose. To make it gentle, you can just kind of roll up a towel or blanket. If you don't have that, you can use blocks. I'll show you both. You're basically just like your Shavasana, but the blanket is coming just behind that heart space that we've been playing with all day, with that integrating those shoulder blade muscles together so that the chest can expand. So that's it. If you're doing it with blocks, you could do it on the lowest level, or I like it on the middle level. It's a little deeper. But again, that block comes right behind that space, and then I use the other block to rest my head. And obviously you can choose any other poses or ways that you want to end your practice. Take the last minute of your practice to offer any prayers that you have for yourself, for your loved ones, for our world. As you're ready, you'll deepen your breath. Slowly transition out of whatever pose you may be in. And in your own time, bring yourself back to your mat. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here today.